Hey everyone, it's Jason, and these are my top midweek cruise news stories. In the last story, this passenger said the cruise line made him feel like an orphan and violated their rights because they didn't allow him to smoke. So cruise story number one, and this is Disney Cruise Line announcing a second permanent location in Florida, and they will be sailing now out of Port Everglades in Fort Lauderdale year-round. Now, what's interesting about this is they have a new private island opening. It's Lookout Key at Lighthouse Point, and that's opening next June. And out of Port Everglades will be the first ships to visit that, not Port Canaveral. So what this is a 15-year agreement they have announced, and they have guaranteed the port that they will have 10.6 million passengers at least during that 15-year agreement. Very interesting to see. Have you ever been on a Disney ship? We haven't. Let me know what your favorite Disney ship is in the comments. So cruise story number two, and it's just this time of year, and we see the MSC Meraviglia changing their itinerary. They were supposed to go to Bermuda, spend like 3 days in Bermuda. Instead, they changed their itinerary, and they're going to end up in Port Canaveral and Nassau, Bahamas. I don't know about you, but if I booked Bermuda and ended up in Port Canaveral, and look, I live in Orlando, I love Central Florida, but I'd much rather be in Bermuda than Central Florida. And quite honestly, our weather's not that great this week. We have rain and nasty weather, so I actually feel really bad for those passengers. But this begs the question, is it worth going out of New York City in the colder months? Because you see a lot of these itinerary changes. I personally think it's not worth going out of New York City during these colder months just because there's just too many chances for things like this to happen. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. So cruise story number three, and this is some sad news from the Carnival Glory. They reported a person missing. So they left Sunday afternoon out of New Orleans, and by Monday, there was a person notified as missing. Carnival at this time did a ship-wide search with no avail. They didn't find him, so they notified the Coast Guard. Now, the Coast Guard has been doing a massive search. Unfortunately, weather conditions are not cooperating. 8 to 12 foot seas, 16 foot swells, 30 plus mile an hour winds. So just an unfortunate situation there. So cruise story number four, and MSC just continues their massive growth as they ordered ships number 3 and 4 in the world-class lineup. So they have ship number 2 coming out spring 2025. This will be the World America. We don't know the names yet on ship number 3 and 4. They're about 215,000 ton vessels, just a little bit smaller than the Oasis class from Royal Caribbean. They will both all be LNG powered, as MSC has really pushed by 2050 to be net zero. Have you been on MSC? This is something that we haven't been on. Them and Disney are our next two. I've heard stories from we love it to hate it. There's nothing really in between. And I've heard people that really love the Yacht Club. So let me know what you guys think of MSC in the comments. So before I get to cruise story number 5, I would ask that you please like the video, as it does help the channel grow. Also consider subscribing, as I do daily cruise news shorts and tips and tricks. I also do longer cruise videos on Saturdays and Sundays at 8 a.m. Thanks so much. So cruise story number 5, and this is a wild one, is a Carnival passenger wrote into John Heald. He is the brand ambassador for Carnival, and said they were being treated like an orphan because they weren't allowed to smoke for 4 hours in the smoking section. Now here's the backstory. The backstory is they were refueling the ship while they were in port, and they blocked the smoking section off. Because, you know, I mean, what could go wrong? Smoking, refueling a cruise ship, I mean, that shouldn't be any problem, right? And they proceeded to say, stop using this as an excuse, and that we're being treated like orphans. This is BS. That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. And you had to wonder about people like that are they also filling their car up and smoking, at the gas station? And they wondering why people are like running away from them. Why are there people running away from me? That would be why. Just an interesting story there. What do you guys think? I'm not a smoker. Now, if they were in port, one would think they could also get off at the port if they needed a cigarette and go smoke out on the pier somewhere. It's usually on the outside of the ship they're refueling. So why couldn't they have done that? I mean, who knows? So what do you guys think? Would love to know and hear from you in the comments. So I appreciate you watching my midweek cruise news. It's a little something new I'm trying. And until I talk to you next time, thanks for watching and happy cruising.